Welcome to Trauma and Transcendence, where healing meets awakening. I'm Amanda M. Dodd, your guide on this transformative journey. Thank you for joining me on this episode. Let's transcend together. Hello, hello, soulful seekers. Welcome back to Trauma and Transcendence. Today, I've got the lovely Nora Lawson here today. Nora is the CEO of InTouch Healing. I want to say correct me.
Therapies.
InTouch Therapies. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Nora. Let us know a little bit more about you.
Okay, well, Amanda, thank you for inviting me here. This is my first time ever doing a podcast. I'm very, very excited. And I'm thrilled to be talking to you all today about different healing, but in particular, crystal therapy to help heal or to transform to where you want to become. So my history is, let's see, I've always loved crystals. I always felt like I was kind of an intuitive, kind of an outlier in my family, because most of my family's like, sure, Nora, whatever, right? But when I was about 30, I finally went to massage school. And so I became a massage therapist. And it just felt like that's where I was called to do. And then I continued on with that to do something called orthobionomy, which is a type of bodywork, which just felt like it was more than just a massage. Massage to me sometimes is you get one and an hour later it changes. It's like, eh. Whereas orthobionomy actually helps your body unwind itself, so it lasts longer. And
I'm not familiar with that one, and I'm pretty sure my audience won't be either. Okay. So if you want to dive into that a little more, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, orthobionomy. I'm laughing only because it's packed with a lot of good stuff, and then also a lot of like politics, which has kept it from being known very well. But it's such a great modality. Orthobionomy works with your nervous system. So when, and the person who created it happened to be an osteopath, a martial artist. And in fact, the story is he was a martial artist first and kept going to an osteopath. And the osteopath said, why don't you just learn this because you're over here enough? So he did. And by doing that, he started recognizing that there were different ways of helping the body to unwind. And so what it does is when I work on somebody, I look for positions of comfort. I'm not looking to do deep tissue or to really manipulate. I'm more like finding where that particular muscle wants you kind of maneuver it until you find where it's the most comfortable. And you ask the person is involved with this. And when you find that, you do maybe a little spiral one way or the other, and you can feel the muscle actually start to unwind itself. When that happens, the parasympathetic nervous system goes, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be in space, not where I've been holding it. So if your shoulders are high and you can see them on people, they don't recognize it anymore because your parasympathetic nervous system turns it off. So I come in and I'll raise them up just a little higher. It feels really comfortable because that's where your comfort level is right now. And I'll do a little shift. And then they just come down automatically because the nervous system's going, hey, this is much more comfortable. Yes. I've been doing this 24 years now. I'd probably say I was doing it when I first learned massage, but then when I got orthobionomy, I found the name for it. And so what I really think it works with is the fascia, which wasn't really known back then. And it's more like the fascia is allowing itself to unwind, and then all the rest of the body can go, oh, I feel great.
Yeah.
So it's been around a long time. They do a lot of stuff with lymph, and they do things with um, just helping. Once your body's more comfortable, like the organs are feeling better and are more in place, and can respond the best way. Like they're more healthy.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a lot of different teachers around the country. There are my personal teacher who taught me most was her name was Terry Lee, and she's fantastic. She was what I loved about her. What I love about her is that she goes with intuition. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know that she'd call it that, but she's more like, if I do it a certain way and it works, and if you do it a certain way and it works, then
Yeah.
it works. And she's always called energy juice is juice. It doesn't matter what you name it.
Mhm.
It's energy, and it works. I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
And
So
I love that you follow that intuitive approach, because ever since I've known you, that's all I've ever known you to be, is highly tapped into intuition. So
thank
what
you.
happened after the, I don't even want to say it because I'll botch it.
Orthobionomy. So it's about
Yeah.
like yes. Uh, so I practiced that for a while. And it's funny with my path. My path is as much as I knew that massage, body work, energy work was my calling. I never felt quite right doing it full time. I felt like um, I'd say that was my own holdback, my own uh, inner trauma or past trauma. Even though I was healing
Yeah.
from that, you still have that residual thought patterns in your head.
Was it
Not
that
worthy.
kind of imposter syndrome that's very en vogue now for people
I
to name?
guess. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say. It was more like what I would hear inside my head was, I'm not worthy, which I
Yeah.
guess is an imposter thing,
Yeah.
or I'm not good enough.
Mm.
Like, I'd always think of other people as being more of an expert than I was. So, and has shifted through the years. So anyway, I practiced that, but I always seemed to have a full-time job. But I've loved crystals. I mean, you and I were discussing this earlier about how, as children, it'd be like, I want a crystal, or here's the shells, or here's a rock that's really cute, and just collecting them. So I started throughout the years just picking up different crystals. Like, of course, amethyst was probably one of the first ones.
Yeah.
But a couple of years back, I was at my brother's house in Chagrin Falls, and they had a great rock shop there. They have a beautiful crystal shop, and it's closed.
Which one? Because I'm local.
Okay, and you know what? I can't tell you the name of it because
Mhm.
it closed last year. They had
Oh,
retired. They had
okay.
retired. So, and hilarious part is that when I went in there, I ended up having a conversation with a man about orthobionomy, and he knew what it was. I was so excited. So anyway, but this was my first crystal that I picked up from him, and that was kind of where it's. I mean, I have lots, but this is an apophyllite, and he calls
Yes.
it the healer's crystal.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it just called to me, and I think that's really what started my kind of transformation into doing more crystal work.
So I was going to ask, do you have a favorite? I know that's like, choosing a child, but would that one be it? Or is there another?
I'm only laughing because now that I am selling crystals because I want and trying to let people know, educate people about crystals. I say this all the time. Oh, here's my favorite crystal. No, here's my favorite crystal.
But it's your favorite for them in that moment as you're reading their energies, probably what's happening. It's that empath and nature coming through.
Also, it's like the
Yeah.
favorite that, yes, exactly, that will work for them.
Yeah.
But I kind of fall in love with them over and over and over again because they each are different.
Yeah.
And honestly, I truly believe that crystals are living entities, just
Yeah.
like trees, just like plants or animals, or in a way you could say water has an energetic vibe. But the crystals have started talking through my process. The crystals have started talking, and I trust them. They'll tell me when they want. When I'll ask them, can I have you here on the table today? And they'll be like, nope, don't want to be there. I'm like, okay.
And they have friends. I've learned that they make friends, and I've acquired crystals from different places, and two of them just want to come together. And it's like, hey, we'd like to be in that same little dish over there. And it's like, okay, who am I to? Who am I to take you apart?
Exactly. And then you have others like, can I be a little farther from each other? And it's not like it's a bad thing. It's just
I haven't had that yet.
You haven't?
Yeah. No, not yet. I don't have any frenemies, I guess.
Oh, they're not frenemies. I think it's just that the energy's too intense, or you'll feel that the energy's too intense too, and you're like, okay. But some people call it frenemies, and I don't think that because I don't think that they
just creates is it a discordant energy, or is it too much intensity? And they each have their aura, and so you don't I do have my selenite spaced, and I can feel it if they're too close.
Yes.
I have more than one piece too close. It's like, hey, they're harshing my vibe.
Yes, exactly. And I don't think there's nothing. I don't feel like that's a negative thing. I don't think there's a negative thing with them. I don't get that from them. So, but
personal space. They want their personal space.
Exactly. So anyway, I started having a physical problem, major physical. So I ended up having something called polycystic kidney disease, and that means that your kidneys get lots of cysts and they take over, and you have less and less function in your kidneys. When that happened, and so I ended up having to go on dialysis for a while, but I could still work. I was a teacher. I was an elementary school teacher. That's another.
The kidneys are a powerhouse. And so when we have anything happen with the kidneys, we feel it. That is a hit to your power at that moment, 100%.
Right.
And Dr. Brad, who practiced the emotion code and the body code, always talked about how, depending on which kidney had the challenge first, how that would come out in the world. And I always found that fascinating.
Gotcha.
But nothing will tell you to sit down and take a nap like having kidneys being overtaxed. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I realized, something started calling me more, like I said, more and more crystals with this disease and with what I was dealing with. And so I started watching some more crystal YouTube videos, and I found a woman named Hibiscus Moon. She was in Florida. She still is, but she no longer does the particular lessons, like the certification that I got. And it's so funny. I was going to look it up this morning because I know there's somebody new who does it for her. That was one of her, and I can't remember it. So look up Hibiscus Moon and ask who the new person is if you're interested, because it's an excellent course. So I started taking that course, and just about the time, it was a 6-week intensive, and it's near the end of school, and I'm like, great, I'll finish it up in the middle, in late June, early July. And I got really sick, and I passed out at school. I had some things going on, and what ended up having was I ended up having my kidneys taken out. So then I had to go on real dialysis, which was like going to the dialysis place. There's 2 different kinds, and I was being able to do it at home. And I did this, and so I had to stop taking the class for over a year, like a year and a half maybe. And luckily got a kidney transplant. That was like a super surprise.
Wow.
It takes a long time to get one, and I'd been told it was going to take 2 years longer than they said. And then within a couple months, they're like, "Oh, by the way, you're on the front of the page." And then after that, I was they're saying it's going to be 6 months to a year. A month later, they called me up, and I was like, "What? Huh?"
Wow.
It just happened. So the universe provided for that, and that was. Go ahead.
One thing I always find fascinating is when we're talking about transplants, how the organs come with their own vibrations, some of their own memories. Did you have any of that occur?
No. Okay. But can I go back real quick, because I forgot?
Yeah.
During the time that, with no kidneys, because I've really, I think I've definitely freaked out my husband immensely, was I had something called press, which was, I ended up, I was having headaches for a couple of days. It was feeling really low. Still doing the dialysis in the facility, and he came to wake me up and he couldn't, and so he ended up taking me to the hospital. Press is where it's something that you can get when you with whatever I had. And it's like I can't say it, encephalitis, something like that.
Encephalitis.
Yes, like, but it's fixable. I know that's not the right word, but it's refixable. So it's like the pressure that presses on your head. It's crazy. So I was in hospital for about 10 days. I had one of those, basically, it was touch and go for a while, from what I understand. Had lovely times, definitely visions, dreams, connected with one of my best friend's dads who had passed away, and walked up to the fence, and he was on the other side, and he said, "Not your time." And I was like, okay. So came back, and I think that's why I got the kidney. I think it was like, you're ready, you're ready to go, and we're letting you, let's get you onto the second one, and let's help you with that. And that's how I think the kidney came to when it's supposed, like, it came so fast. Yeah. So after I got the kidney, I finished the course to be a certified Crystal Practitioner, and it's just so dang powerful, Amanda. I can't explain how
you don't
wonderful.
need to explain it to me. I had the benefit of being on your table.
That's right.
And like I've told the audience before, I love hypnosis conferences. However, it can be a lot when someone's got a very empathic nature. If they're not shielding and taking enough self-care, we can get really run down. We can pick up on things, and my audience knows quite a bit now at this point about entities, and I had picked up an entity after Vegas. And in between Michigan, all of a sudden it hit me at the conference, and I had to sleep half the day on the second day because I was exhausted. And then I came to your table, and you took very, very good care of me. And absolutely, I felt the difference, because completely recharged. And that was only a 30-40 minute session.
Yes, just about 30, 35,
and it lasted.
40.
It wasn't one of those quick charge up things. It lasted. It gave me enough juice to get through the next several days so that I could then see a spirit releasement practitioner and get it all out. Let me tell you, that entity, I'd never seen anything. So that was my first time actually having one. That was an experience. And I think I knew that experience. Because when you're working on people, you don't always know the other side until you've been through it. So it was helpful to have had, and I've never heard of an entity so ready to go. And my poor practitioner, she was beautiful, and so I'm laughing hysterically because this thing is like, get me out of here. I've been trying to integrate, I've been trying to get into her system, and she's obnoxious. Just like, good riddance, go. I don't want you here anyway. You know, it's bad when entities don't want to attach to you because you're too much for them. You know,
that reminds me of like a Bugs Bunny. Like, it would be a great Bugs Bunny cartoon, you know.
My practitioner was so sweet. She was really, really well experienced, but I think that might have been a new one for her too. Of, oh my God, the entity like is desperate to get out of here. It was ready to give up. I tired it out.
It may think 3 or 4 times before it thinks of trying to go with somebody else.
No, actually, we sent it packing out of the planet, out of the universe, gone. But that's what I was dealing with when I came to be on your table, and it was really giving me a fight at that moment. So it was very powerful.
I'm so glad, because I could tell that you were I'm really glad that you decided to try it, because I could tell that it was where you were at a space at that point where it was just really it was really tough for you. So thank you.
And I think that was the same day that I presented as well, and it was just like, I was so low energy, like it was tough. And you've seen me at other conferences, so you know.
Yes, big difference.
You know my baseline, and I definitely wasn't it.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. So wow. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. And I'm so glad it helped.
You can actually sense it too, and it was in the throat, just to validate that for you. That's right. Where it was. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, and see, that's the kicker is that after this experience with the press and then getting the kidney and finishing up with the crystals, it's like suddenly I'm so more connected.
Yeah.
Always could have like the intuition, but it's
Yeah.
the
Clear
can
cognizance.
yeah, well, yes, and connecting with like that stuff I had always with body work, always
Yeah.
could tell that. But connecting with my spirit guides is so
Mhm.
much more clearer and
Yeah.
trusting of just like hearing. I know it's kind of neat, but it's like you
Well,
hear it here or here,
yeah.
and it's like suddenly I would have always held that back before, and now I'll speak it. I'm like, I think it's this, or here's what's coming up, and I'm still like a little kid with it, like, oh God, I said it, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I
You
know.
definitely had all the markings of a near-death experience in NDE. So I'm not surprised that everything came back and in full force with greater sense of trust and of who you are. I'm not surprised at all.
Thank you.
Had you
Thank you.
classified it as an NDE? Had you come to that realization for yourself? Because I didn't when I'd had one, and it wasn't until I went to the ARE. Someone was giving a really wonderful in-depth presentation. When I say ARE, that's the Edgar Cayce Foundation in Virginia Beach.
Exactly.
For people who haven't, you're going to hear about it because I'm going to be going back again this year. But I had not considered my experience in NDE until someone sat down and was like, "Oh, you have all the hallmark," and it's like, "Oh, we don't." But you definitely were.
Thank you.
You were
Yeah.
right there.
Well, my husband Dennis has told me that, and it took like a good like it happened. I'm trying to think, 2021, I think, 3 years
Yeah,
ago. So it took me a good year and a half, and I sometimes still
right at
ask,
that time. Oh my.
"Am I thinking about that?" I think it's 2021 because 2022 is when I got the kidney, and that was and so it was 6 months, 8 months before that is in December of maybe 2021 because August 2022 is when I got the kidney. But the kicker is it didn't process for me like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember having fun arguing with one of the, one of the nurses about the date because I lost so much time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm arguing with him, and I'm looking at other people going, "I'm right, right? I'm right," and I'm way off. I was just it just made me laugh. I'm like, I had a lot of different experience where part of it was reality and part of it
Yeah.
was where my frame was, but
Mm.
I have no idea where I was going with this. Okay, hold on. Um, oh, I do. So a year and a so later, I'd start asking Dennis questions because I didn't remember it, and he was very specific, and it took me a long time, like you, to realize I wasn't near death experience. It just, but when you're in it, some people know,
Yeah.
but I guess it's that. I don't know. For me, I didn't realize that it was just that experience, and it was like, okay, this is what.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
think that's very common. I think most people don't. So I didn't consider mine to be an NDE because I wasn't the one. So I did have an actual NDE where I was the one in peril and I was the one passing. But the first time I was not. I was just there for someone else's passing who had great significance to me.
oh
But it
wow,
qualified because I encountered the light. I felt source. Everything opened up. My life changed vastly. Those are the
wow.
hallmarks. So it doesn't even have to be us that's in peril or having life-threatening circumstance. Yeah,
I could see that, especially for people who are so
yeah,
open. I'm not going to say sensitive because sensitive has a connotation, but we're open to that energy. That makes sense because then we'll go and experience it. Yeah, I can see that.
yeah.
I can see that. Wow.
Mm.
Oh, I want to give you a hug right now. So
Well, it won't be. Well, you're not going to NAT this year, are you?
I am actually going to
You
Nat.
are, and by surprise, so am I.
I know. I just saw that. Congratulations.
So you will
Yeah.
be able to give me a hug.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I'm bringing my crystals, and
Yeah.
I'm also doing the sessions. So that's going to be
Oh,
fun.
I'll
Yeah.
be back.
Okay. Good. 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 So.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I've spent 24 this much time talking kind of about my past, but that's
Yeah.
I hope that's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was going to say, so one thing is once I got the connecting with the crystals, and one of the things that Hibiscus Moon suggests, so this I think will help anybody that's listening if they're into crystals, is if you want to get to know your crystals better, one of the things you can do is choose a crystal that you want to get to know better. Okay. And you're going to work with it for 3 days. Do you mind if I go on to that part? Okay.
Please do.
Okay. So, and this helped me. In fact, I'll show you. This is a citrine that I got. And when I was taking the class the first time, she suggests that you clear out any of the other crystals you have in that room that you're going to meditate with. She calls it crystal chaos. And I'm sure you might have felt that sometimes too, when you have just too many crystals in a space and and you start buzzing. So it cleared everything out. And you use just this one crystal and you put it in your left hand. Let me tell this first. Put it in your left hand. It's your receiving hand. You can either put it on your heart, up here, above. Even though citrine is usually for your first, second, or third chakra, you can put, wherever it's comfortable. But you can meditate with it and ask, what are you doing? How are we to work together? Or what do you want me to know with you? And you spend time with it. And if you meditate a lot, go up to 30 minutes. If you don't, try 5 minutes at a time. Do it 2 to 4 days. And then jot down notes, maybe after the meditation or throughout the day or dreams. Things are going to come to you. And when they come to you, it's the crystal working or the universe working with you to help you with what the question that you just asked that crystal. I think this is when I started realizing just how energetic and how much true life consciousness crystals have, and that they are here to help us. They've been on this earth millions of years, and I think they've got created here. They chose to come and create here to help Earth and its people and plants, all of that. And now we're finally starting to be capable once again of communicating with them and contacting them. Okay, so do that for 3 days. Look down and check out what you've written down. Go back through it. I drew stuff, which I'm not even an artist, but I drew stuff, and it was just mind blowing. And so, and also, just
All the senses is what I
yes,
will say. Don't get hung up on, oh, I don't see anything. Amanda, the images aren't coming. That doesn't matter. It is all of your senses
yes,
because they speak in vibration. We're energetic beings. You may be stronger in your clairsentience. And I am assuming from my limited experience with crystals, I have many, I enjoy them, but I'm not a crystal practitioner. I have taken a class. So we'll come back and touch on citrine because I love that you went there.
okay,
But the important thing to know is they are very energetic. And so as a medium, when I speak to spirit will come through differently based on that particular spirit's abilities. Some of them speak beautifully through emotion. Some of them are very wonderful at transmuting clairvoyant images.
right.
Some of them are not. There's a reason a medium doesn't always get a name. Sometimes the spirit doesn't do well with the clairaudient transmission of communication. I am under the assumption and belief that crystals are the same, that they each have their own unique strengths and skills.
Yes, yes. And what I liked about, again, the course that I took was that it explained crystals in the energetic way, but also in the science way. So one of the reasons crystals work with us so well is that they have their vibrations or their frequencies, as you want to call them, are much more stable than ours because of their their repeating atomic structure, which gives them very solid, I was going to say structure, but it's because we're made up mostly of water, and because each one of we have many vibrations in our body. So our heart has a different vibration than our liver. And they work together like a symphony. So they meld well, and our chakras each have a different vibration. Blood has a different, everything here, it's just like, it's like a little, if we could hear them, it is kind of like having, like music in your body's musical. But because most of us is water, and water changes vibration so darn easily, I mean, very easily, and that's its nature. Crystals don't. And so we can, in what we call entrain with crystals. So if we have a serpentine or the apophyllite that's around us, its frequency will help our frequencies come back into a similar entrainment and complementary. So that's when you are at you're at a conference and there's all these great people there, and you're feeling really high, but you're feeling like, oh, this is way. Then you kind of get like like a little buzz, too much of a buzz, and you can't quite think clearly. Then you get something that's going to help ground you, because such as black tourmaline or shungite, hematite. Yeah, hematite. And then that will help your buzzing energy like this, because you're so happy, and it slows it down so that you can actually go think straight and still enjoy the energy that's surrounding you without it overpowering you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So when you think about it in that regard, it's actually very similar to sound healing in terms of how the frequencies affect us. So, and of course, there are crystal singing bowls. I've got a full set. You can't see them. They're over there. But also I use tuning forks too, and it is the same. It is that those structures hold that frequency.
Yes.
And then when we bring that frequency in, because we are malleable, particularly when we're well hydrated, that's the first thing to go out the window when we're busy is water.
Right.
Which is the thing we need the most.
Right. Exactly. That. Yes, I get reminded of that all the time. So yeah. But going into frequency and entrainment, one of the things that I've worked on with the course, and also research I've done a presentation on it, is electromagnetic frequencies. Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to kind of talk to your people about.
It's my favorite little friend.
Hello, is that shungite or is that?
Shungite. And then I've got some black tourmaline. I've got an apophyllite here. I've got all kinds. My Super 7 that you gave me.
Oh,
very lovely. Sits right here because this is where I do my spirit releasement. So I like it between me and all of the.
Yeah. Or you can have it polished, either way. But,
ooh, yeah.
Let me talk to them about this a little bit, because you have yours around your computer, and that's what you need to do. Like I said, with our vibrations, it can very much change, but it also can change with something like, so if you have your quartz, and this took me a while. When I learned this, I was so shocked. If you have your quartz in a room that's with your Wi-Fi, quartz is an enhancer, right? It amplifies. It'll amplify energy that it's around. So you have to be really careful. This near a Wi-Fi or a computer or your telephone, it's going to amp the Wi-Fi. It's going to amp the electromagnetic frequency of that.
The only quartz that gets to be up here is a big old rose quartz.
I love it.
But I do, and I don't know if you can see it on the shelf. There's the selenite.
Yes.
Right behind the selenite is a mammoth quartz, but it's all the way back there, and the selenite is in front of it on purpose.
Right. And so I feel comfortable if I have a shungite up here. Like when I use music when I'm doing with my laptop, because it's Spotify, whatever. Yeah. Sorry, advertisement there. But I put a shungite cube right on my laptop because shungite is going to absorb it. Now, so once it absorbs all of that, so I feel very comfortable with having that, and that none of my other crystals are affected. Yeah. Also, I've got black tourmaline and hematite all in my healing room anyway. They're up on the doorways, things like that. So I just want to say, so be careful with quartz. Anything with a silicon base. Silicon is so we're talking any of the quartzes, citrine, the rose quartz, black tourmalines. Also, except for black tourmaline. And black tourmaline doesn't, because it transmutes energy. It will change it. So it does not enhance it like our regular, beautiful, clear quartz does. Okay. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some
great.
people enjoy their fidgets. Me, it's hematite.
Okay.
That is the only fidget I have. And I will sometimes.
Gotcha.
Between clients, or if I need to ground something.
Oh, I love hematite. Yeah, and that's what what I love about. I did not like hematite until I started doing the course, and hematite was. I didn't realize what a shield it is, and it is. It will bounce back all your electromagnetic frequencies.
I'm so glad that you said that about not liking it initially, because when I first came into crystals, there was something about it that I really disliked. And isn't it weird sometimes, especially that empathic nature? There's like a push-pull to things that we actually need where it feels like it repels.
Yes.
It's the weirdest.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think, again, let's talk about about our crystals. Like having that consciousness, sometimes we're not ready for them. We don't need them.
Should we or shouldn't we touch on moldavite? I will say that is one of my favorites, but it's also not meant for everybody, and it's not meant for every intention. You don't just have moldavite hanging around unless you want your whole life to be painstakingly put in front of your eyes so that you can transmute.
Right. Well, funny you brought that up, because when I was in massage school, which was in 1991, is that right? Yeah, it's been a while. The moldavite had just come out. I was in New Mexico going to school there, and I was like, "Oh, moldavite!" Like he's like, "Oh, it's so new," blah blah blah. And I'm like, I couldn't get near it. I could not. After first seeing this guy's, it was like in a mall kind of thing, place. It was like I went up. I was like, "Oh, all these crystals, yay!" Saw the moldavite. Every time I walked in there, I avoided his table because it was just so strong, and it made me sick because it was the transformation. It's like,
I mean, people have literally had some very big experiences. So nobody told me that when I began to wear it, I can have it in the room, very different vibration if I've got it on my body. So unless I've got a client that needs big changes, and it'll tell me on the day of, if I'm going to a meditation, hey, moldavite with your Merkaba today. It'll tell me, or Merkaba danbarite with your moldavite today, or apophyllite with your moldavite today. I'll be told ahead of time. And it's just one of those things that they just started kind of opening, but nobody told me that when I started to have it on my body. For me personally, it's like a satellite. And I was new to really understanding my clairaudience. All of a sudden, I'm hearing people's thoughts, and I'm like, I'm going crazy. I have lost it. This is what's happening. I'm hearing that was a random, oh, why would I even think that? And then you're looking around, you're like, oh, this is you. But nobody warned me about that. And so when I hear that people are working with moldavite, it's like, pay attention to your abilities and what you're picking up. Because for me, it's like a satellite. It's a massive amplifier, bigger than quartz.
Yes, 100%. And there are a number of different crystals like that. So obsidian, do you mind?
No, please do. I'm excited.
Okay. So obsidian you have to be careful with. If you want to
Ah,
transform,
yeah.
okay, it transforms like what it is, because it is molten glass. Okay, so it will cut through shit, through
Please
stuff.
do. No, please do.
Okay, through stuff
Yeah.
like glass. So it cuts, and um, so, and I hear people. I actually was at a show, and a woman was having little teddy bears, and she's putting different crystals for the babies. And I went up to her, and I really debated this, tremendously debated whether to tell her or not, because again, everybody's different. I mean, whatever I'm saying to you guys right now, if it's not jiving, that's okay. Your path, what's that? Your transitional path is different. And so to me, our spiritual path is just like religion. And in religion I believe that the different religions were for the different cultures. It was the way of connecting people in their culture to the higher power, to God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with crystals. This works for me. If it doesn't work for you, but it works differently, then don't worry about what I'm saying. Trust your intuition and your instinct always. Okay? Because as my orthobionomy teacher says, juice is juice. So if Reiki doesn't work for you, but orthobionomy does, or craniosacral does, or crystals do, or this essential oils, trust yourself, right? I mean, just because I can hear clear audio, or I have that feeling, but I don't see stuff, doesn't mean that I don't have it. I'm still connected. So, okay, fine. So anyway, so this woman was doing this, and I finally talked to her, and I said, because she was putting obsidian in, and I just said, I want you to look up obsidian, because obsidian can cut, and I don't know that you really want something that harsh for children. And she thanked me, which was really nice, and trying to say your truth without, in a way that's not harmful to. And that's what I like about the fifth chakra, because it's about taking truth, your truth for yourself and your truth for others, but saying it in a way that is helpful.
It
So,
doesn't have to be
yeah,
personal. I'm a huge advocate
right.
for nonviolent communication. So,
Yes. And communication that people can understand and accept without it pushing them back. So,
right.
yeah.
Because there's the ability to pass on wisdom and knowledge without it having to debase who they are or their understanding or anything. It doesn't have to be
Right.
that at all. Yeah.
Whenever I hear a teacher or somebody saying it's this way, I have to take a step back and go, okay, what can I learn from them? But
Yeah.
that absolute, not quite. The universe is just too darn big, and there's just too many things. Like crystals work for me; they don't work for everybody. I mean, they're like, "Hi, we like you," I'm saying, and you can have this connection. But that may not be that somebody else's space, and it's just like you with the moldavite, or me with the moldavite, and then other people are like, "Oh, I love it! It just works for me so beautifully," and you're like, "Great!"
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
and
that's why. It's limited. We only got so much of it, and maybe it's because only a limited capacity of people actually need to tap into that. I
yes,
think very strongly it's the star seeds.
yes, that's a
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I bet you're right. You're right. Um, the other crystal that I want to talk to you guys about is Epido. You probably don't get it that often, but it's
Yes.
coming out, and I love it now.
Yeah.
I have pre-night, which I am
Yes.
starting,
I
and this
almost
is
wore it. I have a large one. That's my healing stone. That heals me while I help others. Yeah.
this and apophyllite are like
Yes.
they are, and this has some Epido in it as well, which
Yeah.
is great. But when I picked up some tumbled Epido, I started doing more research. Like I read about pre-night, and I'm like, I love pre-night. In fact, let's see if I can tell you real quick. What I do for almost every one of my crystals too is I will do my research. I'll research. I got two really great books, which I always recommend. The Book of Stones. You can get the smaller version. And Melody, who is Love is in the Earth, way earlier than the Book of Stones. And a lot of people kind of base a lot of things, start with her, and then that you see on the internet, you see all those little, like, this is what this does, or this is what serpentine does, or this is what apophyllite does. They started with this, and they sometimes use this, and sometimes they just use their own stuff. And I say that because I use my own stuff too. It's like, what does it say to me? And again, it may say something to you that is not in these books. Trust it. Just trust it.
Yeah, because sometimes they do want to help with specific missions. So I've gone into shops and there's been something that's like, the paper doesn't feel right. And so I'll actually, one of my favorite things to do is just ask a question.
Yes.
To hold it in my hand and say, what do you want to help me with? Yes. I might see a specific project that needs a different kind of energy that I would ordinarily have. And so sometimes they really are just for, let me boost you in this one area of life for a limited amount of time.
Good point. And that's one thing I would, right, first of all, let me tell you what Prenup does really quick. So it helps to align one's heart with one's will so that the highest good is possible for each situation. And it can ground our energy of any excessive anger or nervousness while strengthening one's chi. And it's wonderful for intuition and meditation. Okay. So I try to do the research for that before I write it down. And one of the things with Epido is that it's a manifester. It is a karmic manifester. So if you're having a really good day and you want to wear Epido because you want to have a really good day, it will do that. But if something starts making you have a really kind of bad day, take it off, because it will bring in anything. And so many sites don't tell you that. They say, oh, it's a great manifester. It's a karmic manifester. It will bring in whatever is happening to you. And it's karmic because it's trying to give you the face. Have you face what you need to face to make the changes, or to continue on in the where you are because you're on the right path. But it's helping you try to get on the path that's best for you. And it can be, it can, that's its job, and it does a really, really good job.
It's the same as Moldavite in terms of it will take what's unconscious and bring it right for you to see so that you can make some really tongue-in-cheek choices in the moment.
Exactly. So, and so really quick, what you've touched on before about in the moment of a crystal. Mm-hmm. One of the things is you don't have to keep a crystal forever, because sometimes it's coming into your life just for that moment or for a time frame. And it will let you know if you start talking or energizing with it when it's ready to leave or go on. If, for instance, you've lost the crystal, it was time for it to go on, and it's its way of doing that. You're laughing.
Occasionally I lose a bead. I reform it.
Oh, by the way, I'm still looking for a lavender quartz. I'll let you know when I find it. So, right. Yes. And sometimes it's about giving it to somebody, like somebody needs that, and you just feel like it. And that's the crystal saying, I'm ready to go on. Okay?
The last time it shattered, it was at the apothecary, and I think they've been having a series of energy attacks. And so it just went right in front of the garbage can. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I start picking it up, but a couple wandered off, and I think it was meant to stay there.
It was, but it was also protecting you. That's why it busted.
It did. It took a hit.
Yeah. It took a hit for you.
And then part of it wandered off to stay at the shop. So that vibe is continually there.
That's right. So, and I also want to say to you, and I'm hoping if you're looking at crystals, to touch them or check in with them first when you bring them into your house. Do you want to come with me? Will you come with me? And I must laugh. And I'll tell you a very quick story. Yeah, got time. Is that when I first picked up, this is desert quartz. And so it's got, it's really pretty.
Yes.
Got a beautiful bag of it. It's all gorgeous. And I'm going, oh, what wants to stay with me? And they were like, no, everyone that I wanted, because that's what I'm trying to say is sometimes you want the pretty crystal. You want that beautiful crystal. You want the crystal that's absolutely gorgeous. And you're like, that's the one I want. And you pick it up. If you find a really pretty crystal, you pick it up and go, are you for me? Or I'll do it with this because this is what happened. Aren't you gorgeous? Are you for me? And it's like, nope. Listen to it because it's meant for someone else. And I have to say, I had to go through the bag at least 6 times. I didn't get to keep the ones I really wanted. And I seriously think that my friends here just felt sorry for me. They're like, you can keep us out for a while, but you're going to have to give us up. And
Until
I'm like,
you come to the right person who needs it, and then you're going to just know. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but again, just trust that feeling. You may want the prettier one, or you may, because sometimes you look at the ugly ones and you're going, ugh, and you pick it up and you go, it's perfect. All right. Yeah. So, so that's cool.
I know, it's always fun having people on and going into different things, and I'd love for you to come back, absolutely, because
thank you.
it's so much fun. You touched on citrine, and citrine is one of those crystals that I was just like, I think it's underrated until I took a crystal healing class, and then I was shocked. They were talking about using citrine first and foremost, having a bowl of citrine to clear other crystals. I had no idea it had that ability. Can you touch on some of that? Because you just validated that whole experience for me. And it's like, oh, I've been really severely underrating citrine. I'm so sorry.
I'll go back to my meditation with it because what came up for me was that the citrine goes up beyond Earth, and it's the Earth protector. And so what happens is that its energy is here. It's based on Earth, but it goes out, and it's basically it's a shield for Earth. Is the way? Does that resonate with you? Because that's what it resonates with me.
It does. And then also the abundance of it. It's meant to be highly abundant.
It is, and it's also so it's a manifest because it works with your third chakra. Third chakra is about self-worth, self-realization, being able to help to manifest your dreams and your goals, which connects with self-worth. So, you are worthy of this. So, I'm also. Give me a second. It's saying yes. I'm here for you all. I want to say, and it says it's okay to say this, is trying to get real citrine. You can get the citrine that is heat treated, which is amethyst. And when it heat treats it, it does bring it up to citrine, but it's a lot weaker. And so it works. And so whatever citrine you get, if that's what you find and it talks to you, take it. But it is about helping you, and it's one of I'm laughing because I picked up some Moroccan citrine too. I'm drawn to the darker color, the darker citrines. I just really am, and it's more maybe because it's so connected to our space, and that's all I can think about to say about it. Sorry, Amanda. Don't think I'm building up more on that. Okay.
I'm enjoying it. And I think most of the people who listen to this are very much intuitive and on their spiritual journey. So they're going to be enjoying it too.
Okay. I will say one thing that when I first got this stone, which really shocked me was its sadness, because citrine is basically a community stone, meaning there's a community to it. Okay, so like if you look at my apophyllite, there's a lot of different stone. I'm not sure if I can get that right, but you can see how it's a community of different stones. Here's a quartz.
That's right. Citrine is a cluster.
It's a cluster, right? This. Okay, so that's a cluster. Aragonite, lots of different clusters. Okay.
Yeah.
But this was so sad because it was pulled away from the rest of its family. And we actually
I
did
think I felt that, and I think that might be the initial reason why I didn't like it.
yes, I get it. Yeah. And that's it. And so
Yeah.
one thing to understand is that it's a two-way street with crystals. So yes, it's here to help us, but this crystal and I ended up working together to kind of help it with that. I ended up buying some other citrine crystals, and that seemed to because this was my first big citrine. And when I bought these other smaller citrines, it was like it got reconnected with a family again in the house. So
everyone that I have, they are all together with other ones that I've gotten over time, and I didn't start to enjoy them until I put them together, and I just intuitively did that. So that makes a whole lot of sense.
Okay,
and
cool.
That's why they say to use a bowl.
Yes, put lots of them together. I have them throughout the house. And other thing is this, is remember they're energetic. Okay. And it's like us where we can, when we do prayers or send grace to other people, that's energy. And it gets to them. It gets to them. So these guys can do the same thing. And although I know I call her she's connected to her family, other places, having crystals of her same species, if you want to say it that way, in the house, they connect. They're happy to be together. And if they're ready, when they're ready to go to other places, but they're still connected. And what I want to say to you all is that you can, if you're having a rough day, now I'm great for carrying crystals in my bra and in my pockets or on me. But as you get to know your crystals, you can think about the crystal that's in your house. Say that you're having a rough day and you need that shungite, or you are looking for something to ground you, and you've got whatever, right? And that's not on you. You can just think about it because it's energy, and it's that vibrations, and you're connected to it already, and it's connected to you. So you can just go, I got it, and it'll come right to you and help. So that's a good trustworthy
They do sometimes in the astral as well. I've had a couple of times where it's come up in my dreams, and it's like, oh, you're here too. Cool.
Okay, good, cool. So, okay, so this has been a great hour.
It has. It always goes by so fast.
Yes.
I know.
Yeah. All right.
What is a final thing you'd like to tell our listeners, either about you, about crystals, or anything?
Well, I'm going to kind of do a little plug for myself. I'm InTouch Therapies. You can find me on Facebook for InTouch Therapies, or just find Nora Lawson. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me about that. I love talking about crystals and helping you connect with them, or speak to them in a way. That's the way we're going to say it. I will be at NATH in November, so I will have lots of crystals there for you to look at. And I will also be doing crystal therapy. I do a de-stress session with hematite like that at those places. And then, and I do other sessions, but I do them here at the house. So that's cool.
I know a lot of people are looking for reputable places to buy crystals. Do you accept orders over the internet to help people find them that are going to be good quality?
This was the first year, I got into crystal healing or therapy, and then I started doing the crystal. So this is my first year, and I am actually thinking about I think it's time to start. I think you've just started me.
You're being informed.
Yes. Well, because I really many of my crystals are ethical. They're either from Madagascar or my first 2 places were that in Brazil. And I made sure that they were ethically mined and all of that. Some of the other places I've gotten them, I'm not quite always sure about that.
We can feel that. They hold that vibration.
Right. But for the most part, once they get here, I also trust, if I'm wherever, if I get them at a place and it feels right to pick them up, then they come. And helping. Yeah, that's it. And we have to do, I think also, as we said earlier, sometimes no matter where they come from, they're here to help.
Yeah.
So that's the part of it too. But as if I can, the most that I can get ethically mined or that are connect that, and then we try to, I also ask them to clear themselves of any past negative, anything that they don't want when they come in, so that when they move on, they're there. They
You're going
help
to
the other
have to
person.
come back because there are so many other things I want to talk about. I want to talk about clearing them. Perhaps you could come do a meditation for us on how to
Okay.
clear the crystals, work with them, communicate with them. But also, I want to talk about the ones that clear an entire space in a room and clear other crystals because they don't all. So don't say it today, but let's talk about it again
Okay.
soon.
All right. That sounds fantastic. Amanda, thank you so much. This was great. This was so much fun.
You are so welcome. Thank you for coming and being a guest and sharing all of your beautiful insights. It was so fun. And Soulful Seekers, if you have questions for Nora Lawson, please either shoot me an email, connect with Nora. I'm going to have all of her links in the description so that you can find her. But also, if you want to post a question on the podcast, I'll make sure that it gets to Nora, sorry,
Okay.
so that next time we can have her back and do a little bit more talking about crystals and how to work with them.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Bright blessings, everybody. And as always, stay healthy, stay well, be happy, but most of all, stay inspired. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this transformative episode of Trauma and Transcendence. Your stories matter. I would love to hear them and from you. Connect on our website, healingbeyondtrauma.com, or drop me an email at amanda@healingbeyondtrauma.com. Remember, healing is a journey we take together. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired. This is Amanda, wishing you bright blessings.